Someone has to call. Mika Whaitiri.
Tēnā koe, Mr Chair, tēnā tātou katoa. I'm pleased to take part in this debate on the government's economic performance for the 2013-14 year. As I listened to the debates in the House today, I was thinking that there was going to be some sparkles or some great trumpets playing to celebrate what a rock star economy this is from that side of the House. But alas, Mr Chair, I heard nothing short. In fact, I wonder whether that side of the House is actually doing our job for us by underselling their own economic performance. Mr Chair, for the two elections now, National has promised a surplus in its financial year. They've made it a centrepiece of their bid for re-election, and they're set to break that promise yet again. It's not good enough for the Prime Minister, John Key, to claim that a surplus is an artificial target. And today in this House, Mr Chair, I heard the Honourable Bill English, in response to our finance spokesperson's questions, create a new way of saying we can't predict. Figures are just artificial targets. They're not something that you should actually achieve, Mr Chair. It is interesting to note that the government was predicting a $500 million surplus, which is now a $500 million deficit. And the current projections for 2015-16 are also for a $500 million surplus. So the question I pose is, can we believe that will actually be reached? Mr Chair, the numbers around national debt are extraordinary. They have borrowed $1 million an hour in gross terms since coming to office. The debt has grown so much that this year they're spending over $10 million a day on interest payments. Remembering that when we tried to pass the Feed the Poor Kids bill, their response was it was unaffordable. This government has run up more gross debt, more as a percentage of the economy, than any other New Zealand government since the Forbes government in the 1930s. Mr Chair, much of the debt that National took on was unavoidable. We don't begrudge them having to pay for the recession and the Canterbury earthquakes, but they have wasted billions. They have wasted billions. The tax cut for the top 10% has cost about $5 billion. The asset sales cost, which increases with every dividend, is nearing $1 billion. The corporate bailouts and handouts, South Canterbury Finance, AMI, Rio Tinto, Sky City, Oracle, etc., run into the billions. But what has National achieved with all this borrowing? 1 year of decent growth, we'll give them that, which is quickly coming off the boil. Unemployment is still hovering near 6%. Wages are stagnant. Regions that are going backwards, and I'll touch on that shortly. Families in poverty, and a shortage of decent housing for families in need, and not enough houses for families to buy at a price ordinary people can afford. National has borrowed more than any government in 80 years. It has imposed a huge interest burden on future governments, and it has nothing to show for it except a trail of broken promises. Mr Chair, the National's economic plan is quite a basic plan. It's make more milk, it's export logs, and it's to find oil. And that plan is seriously under threat. It isn't delivering, Mr Chair, the economic benefits out into the regions. I come from a region of the East Coast. I travel it, like many do, around during the recess. And we met in Gisborne. I had some colleagues of mine in Gisborne, and we met with the Gisborne District Council. And one of their biggest issues for them is roading. And there is a huge gap of investment from this government into our roading in the regions, and they, for instance, are having to bridge that gap. And so if the economy is doing as well as we hear from that side of the House, then why aren't we investing infrastructurally?
The Honourable Nikki Kay.
Mr Chair, I'm very pleased